Welcome to my energy update. And this one is going to be super packed, a lot more than usual because we're usually packed anyway. But this one has got some gumption because I've got so much to cover in this video because we've had quite a bit of energy that's come to pass. We're in it right now and what's to come, right? But first of all, please can we take a moment for my friend who's just looking adoringly into my ear? White lion. This is a beautiful, beautiful white lion. And white lions are very much seeded, if you will, from South Africa, actually. And they're deeply connected to the Christ consciousness codes and this particular time, as well as Sekhmet, as well as Leo, as well as all the feline frequency. So I thought that it was very important for us to bring that white line energy into this energy update. Right. I'm literally just going to dive in and go through my list and break it down Marie style. Okay, get yourself comfy. So July the 22nd was a massive portal opening, right? A lot of Venus energy came in, and I don't know about you, but it was a lot of light relief because from my previous video, I got a real ass-kicking initiation about boundaries. So by the time I'd literally gathered my soul parts, I fell out of my door, fell into my Uber, and that was on the 22nd of July. And it felt very expansive and very light in comparison to what we've been feeling from Mercury retrograde. Now, Mercury retrograde, I mean, everything's in retrograde, but we're really feeling that Mercury, and that's going to be going on until the 11th of August. So we really are in the thick of the woods right now, but it's okay. We got this. So July the 22nd was also the Mary Magdalene feast day as well. So there was just so much. There's just so much. And it's about the Sirius star rising being at its highest point. So this is a very, very important time because when it comes to Sirius, it comes to the white lions because the white lions are from Sirius. And then Sirius/Lyra, this is where all the feline frequency comes from. So if you weren't feeling it before, your little whiskers and all the rest of it, you should be feeling it now, right? So this particular part of the year, all of us that are connected to the feline energy, we're like, yes, let's do this. And then when this time comes, we go, oh no, let's not do this. This is a little bit too stingy-saw. So it is very, very intense. But you know what? We're never given anything we can't handle, right? So we spoke about in my last video prior to the last one, when I was in Cape Town, I was talking about the rose lineage and I was talking about this beautiful rose that I shared with you. And it's so indicative of life. So you have the thorns up the stem. You have the beautiful petals that open up and out. And that is all the layers, all the initiations. What did Mary Magdalene say? She said, your wisdom is in your wounding and it shows in your flower. You know what I mean? Your flower of life, So that is the rose lineage. And it's such a powerful, powerful teachings when it comes to embodying the pain which transcends into the beauty, right? That is alchemy. That's why we're here, right? So other things as to what this portal was all about on the 22nd, no more playing small. You might have been hit with a big bout of anxiety to do with inadequacy. I'm not ready for this. Just that fear and everything like that. Remember who oversees Lion's Gate? 100% Sekhmet. We're going to be getting into that in videos to come as well. So Sekhmet's going to be here kind of challenging you and sniffing around you and saying, you got any more fear there? Got any more fear you want to feed me? Because we need to transcend that into or transform that into courage. So she wants all her soldiers online now. She wants all her children to be stood by the side of her, not curled up at her feet in trauma, right? So if you are feeling kind of like this residual energy of just coming up, very old energy, that's the retrograde. So it's all got to clear. But we almost must be mindful as well that it's not just our own personal stuff. It's collective as well. When we get to this stage of the game, it's a massive combination of the two. Remember why you came here, right? So now the integration of the masculine and the feminine. Okay, so this portal is kind of really started to kind of like balance us up with the divine masculine, divine feminine balance, right? Because ultimately this is why this Lion's Gate is going to be so powerful, because we are really, really stepping into the divine feminine, addressing all the shadow divine feminine injustices that have gone down and all of the things. Forgiveness is a big thing. Yeshua has been speaking to me ever such a lot. Mary Magdalene, it's like forgive and release, forgive and release. We cannot hold on to things anymore. So if the divine feminine can forgive what has been done to her, and this is us in physical form, right? And the upholders of Ma'at is coming in and balancing the scales of justice. Every single wrong will be righted. Wrong grammar, but you know what I'm saying. But everything has to come into balance. So if the divine feminine now is like that, she shifts over, she allows the divine masculine to take his place. And the true space for the divine masculine is to be able to hold space for her, to make her feel safe, to bring the security. He's a hunter-gatherer. And he hasn't been able to have that role for so long because it's been intercepted. So even though the divine masculine is perceived as the perpetrator, and you boys always get the bad rap, right? But when you think about it, they've also had an injustice as well. They've been forced into a place which is also incorrect for their energy, right? They're forced to take on the divine feminine's power and take her role. That was never the right place or the right position, right? So the divine masculine is also coming out of a place of dysfunction, and he wants to come in and take his true role on, which is to support her, to come into as the divine balance and to be the hunter gatherer and space holder and live his best life and do it flipping well. You know what I mean? So this is another reason why I feel that this Lionsgate portal is so powerful, because we haven't just been nudged, we've been smacked. I have never known a Lionsgate portal to open up and it to be so intense from the get-go. I mean, it's always an intense time every single year, but this is very different, right? So now that was the 22nd, the portal, right? So now let's move on to the new moon, which was basically a flippant full moon as far as I was concerned. That was intense, okay? Now, what you would have felt on that full moon, there was massive integrations going on. So, of course, the Schumann resonance, and I'm just going to use it as an example because I know a lot of you follow the charts and everything like that. But roughly, the Schumann resonance vibrates at a very beautiful humdrum at about 7 point something, right? It's been at 77 or whatever. So it just gives you an idea of like how much she's been going guns. And of course, when she kind of like surges her power like that, we're on her. Our feet and our chakras and our energy fields and our hearts, we're her children. So she blasts that energy off from underneath us and through us. Of course, you're going to feel that physically in your body. I have never, let's play that game. Marie likes that game. Never have I ever felt pain in my body like that. To the point I thought, there's something wrong with me. I really thought that I had something serious going down. The pain in the body from my hair, the tips of my hair to the tips of my toes. I was like walking around. I went through a shopping mall with my daughter and my son because I'm here in London. And I was like a xylophone. Playing all sorts of tunes. And my daughter was like, is that your hips cracking? Double sciatica. I was like, yeah. I was like a kind of like spindly skeleton, like cracking along as we were moving along. It's been terrible. But day by day, it's got a little bit better. So lots of water, yin yoga, winner. Support your body, yin yoga, things like that, just to release the tension and the energy that's coming through because it's big. Sleep time. Well, there hasn't been any. You've actually slept, but you've been slept in that other holding pen dimension where you have so much astral travel, it's ridiculous. And you wake up and you just think, did I even sleep though? But you did, you were just in a different dimension. Very powerful dreams, lucid dreams, massive. And that has been, well, that hasn't actually stopped yet. So that's another kind of like side effect, if you like, of all of this, you know? Now with this new moon, full moon, let's call it, authenticity. So Ma'at, funnily enough, I put my pendant back on here, my Ma'at pendant. I used to wear this all the time, and I took it off for a time, and then I would just got very, very powerful guidance, put it back on, okay, along with Ma'at on my arm. I'm like, right, let's balance the scales of justice, shall we? So that's going to be very, very powerful that you're feeling like maybe triggered by certain situations. Don't get involved in the chaos. Just see it for what it is. Your job is to hold your calm, chaos calm. Be detached, boundaries, so you can navigate the situation. Soon as you topple over and fall into the chaos, you're donezo's. Remember the scales of balance with Ma'at, and also that which is really pissing you off, or that where you see as an injustice that just gets your blood boiling and your Sekhmet fires going, hand it over to Ma'at in every moment. Hand it over to Spirit. Hand it over to Sekhmet, okay? Because we're co-creating with them all the time, and you're co-creating with the aspects of them within you. So allow your divine intelligence to show up and show you how badass it is, that you don't have to physically do anything. You don't always have to open up your gob and tell them how it is. You just allow your presence to take place, right? So that's a very cool thing. So masks off as well, you know, everything is crumbling. No more performances, no more false prophets. Those that have avoided their shadow but want to take a place of power and authority will be taken to the judgment hall. Ma'at, Sekhmet, they're all going to be waiting there for you. You've got to face your shadow. You have to. You know what I mean? There's no pass go without it. So you're going to find a lot of people kind of like falling off their perch. Hey, I face my shadow every day and I've fallen off my perch anyway. So there's also that. So let's just keep it like that. Everyone's going to fall off their perch, basically. Do you know what I mean? But it's like that. That's how it is right now. So anybody that's kind of like got false agendas. I mean, look at it, the governments and everything. It's just, there's a lot of chaos around, and expect it to get a lot worse because in the world now, they are also feeling the energy. They might be not as spiritually tuned in as we are, but it's going mad. I've come to London now, bonkers. absolutely bonkers as to what's going on here with the governments. But our job is not to get involved in that. Switch your TikTok off. Don't get involved. Come back into this place. This is your stronghold in here. And when you connect in here, you connect with me and you connect with the next person and the next person. So if we all go in here, we can just like connect through the sacred web of Sekhmet, and we really come into that strength. You're going to feel that strength and community through the ethers, right? So this is where we really need to be very focused and aware that that's really what's going down. And if we tap in and we go in here instead of out there, then that is how we really are in service to ourselves and to the greater good. Going out there and doing a rah and joining the protests and things like that, it's not going to do anything, because you're going out there and you're joining anger, right? So let the chaos ensue. It's going to get worse. It's okay. It's why you came. You know what I mean? And it's just like, hold your center, hold your space, hold the line, right? So now boundaries. I've spoken about that in my last video, that I got tapped so hard with boundaries before we went into that 2022, July 22 portal. And I've really made sense of that now, that I was doing my work and I was also definitely doing the work for the web, let's say. And boundaries was a big thing. And then I had Yeshua all the way through it talking to me about forgiveness and release, right? And then come back into my space, right? So that was a massive initiation for me, huge. And I've slept since then every single day. It was a lot out of my energy field. So that's just how big the stuff is going on, but nothing you can't handle. You just need to take your rest times, and you've got your go times when you go times. Do you know what I mean? So real self-care through this time. Massive, right? So now let's move on. So much energy we've had. So that was the 24th of July, the new moon, full moon. Now we're moving into the next day, which was the day out of time. That was the July the 25th. Now, day out of time, flip it out. Did I need that? I needed a day out of all of it. Do you know what I mean? And that's exactly what I gave myself. And you may have found, whether you were aware of the day out of time or whether you were, whether you were or not, you probably would have, if you scan that back to that day, you probably did take some time out somewhere. I know I did. I just slept all day. And I just went into still space. Even the time was funny on that day, meaning I looked at my watch and I was like, bloody hell, it's nighttime already. And I just allowed the white noise to go. Now, I want to share with you what happened to me on that day. The first half of the day, I was vibrating because I knew I hadn't recorded any videos and I've got to get out there. And you know me, I'm always here to kind of like chuck some sacred stuff in the circle and, uphold the tribe, as it were, and like keep us going. And that's kind of what I was really vibrating with, the fact that I hadn't recorded anything. But here's the thing, I wasn't inspired to do so. And I could not seem to give myself that pink ticket to say, hey, Marie, you need to chill. You're going to be of no use otherwise. So I had this old energy coming up and I was just like, couldn't relax. And it was like, oh, hang on a minute. I was absolutely challenged, because I was trying to work through the divine masculine in the shadow, which is my old way, when there's nothing to fix inside of there. And I was in it trying to unpack it and all the rest of it. It's like, no, that's not how it's done anymore. It's the divine feminine. So I booked out, cut that energy completely, stepped away from it. There's the boundary. Okay, I created a boundary that the divine feminine, it just comes to you. And I will share when I'm inspired and I'm rested. And here I am doing shitloads of videos and I'm like on the game now, right? So that is what we really call alignment. Sorry, there has to be a dad joke somewhere. And you know what? It's always the same dad joke. So I never come out with any different ones, but alignment. So I went into alignment and, I kind of went over to the divine feminine and and all of a sudden the energy just lifted. So that was what I had to go through to get into the day out of time, cutting out all of that noise. And let me tell you, there's a lot of noise in our life, right? So again, chaos, calm, come on this side, right? So now, in the day out of time, it was a portal of pause. Somebody called it that the other day, and I thought that's kind of cool. A portal of pause, forgiveness, clearing, spoken about that a lot. This is all about just releasing and letting go. And if you're releasing and letting go, ultimately, what are you doing here? You are supporting yourself. So if you're supporting yourself, right, what are you doing? You're receiving. You're receiving. It's the divine feminine. So yay, we're getting there, right? Okay. So it's time for the divine feminine, not the ego. So that is the chaos and the calm. When you feel calm, you're in the divine feminine, everything's in flow, everything just comes to you. But when you're in the divine masculine, you're going to have conversations of I should, I ought to, I must, da 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 da. But when you're in the divine feminine, it's like I would like to, you know, I'm going to. Do you know what I mean? It's like completely different conversation. So that was the day out of time. It was interesting, the tussle that you went through just to be able to receive. But I got there in the end. I hope you did too. I turned my pad because I have more. Right. So now we are on 26th of July, right? So that is like the what I call the soft launch of Lionsgate. For me, personally, Gospel of Marie, it's always been the 28th of July. Now, just to run through that, people say, oh yeah, and it closes on the 8th or the 12th or whatever. Poppycock, that's my favorite word. No, it goes all the way through August. You know, you're going to find the energies are running like pretty high all the way through August. So don't pull your glass away from the juice too soon. Get it all out. Like, squeeze the juice, like I said, all the way through August, right? So basically, just to break it down, 26th was what I call the soft launch. We felt that energy come in. 28th, which is the day you're going to be watching this video, 28th is officially the Lionsgate opening. So the energy starts to intensify. When we get to the 8th day, it peaks. It's also full moon as well, 8th or 9th, all depending on where you are in the world. So the 8th, it peaks, right? And then we go through to the 12th, it kind of like starts to roll out, but then we kind of maintain a steady pace, you know what I mean? And we kind of go all the way through August. So there's pockets, there's highs and lows, right? So going back to the 26th of July, it was the rising of the Sirius star, right? It's also White Lion, Christ consciousness codes, right? So there is a story of the Sirius lions, and I call them the Sirius lions because they made contact in South Africa. Okay, so basically, back in the day, the ancient myth is that there was a very disabled lion queen who had the sisters that helped to run the tribe. What happened was the Syrians came down, beautiful light everywhere. They took the queen and they abducted her, took her off. And when they delivered her back, she wasn't disabled or anything. She was strong, she was powerful. But when the Syrians came down and all this white light came into the earth, every single animal, every single giraffe, every single, you know, impala, whatever, lion was born of the white energy. And they all have blue eyes and things like that. And that's where the white lions first came from. Now I could go into a massive deep dive about trophy hunting because Mara is the most powerful white lion who was actually just born in a place called Bethlehem in South Africa. There is a place called Bethlehem, trust me, on Christmas Day, 25th of December. She was born 2001, I think. But anyway, how's that? Mara, mother of Ra. And that was the white lion, the very first white lion that contacted me. And I was like, who are you? And then I found out about all the other white lions, like the Akeru twins that sit at the Sphinx and everything like that in Egypt. Anyway, I won't go into a massive deep dive now because that's a whole nother podcast. Let's just keep on track here. So that is, but I just wanted to bring the white lion consciousness in because it's Christ consciousness. It's the Christos codes or the Christos codes. And I believe that our tribe here, okay, as much as we are Sekhmet, we are also part of the 144,000 because we're all connected here. We all vibe here. And that is why Sekhmet is pulling us all in, calling us all in, and the tribe, the tribe and the pride is gathering. But not only that, it's why? Why? Because we needed to clear our fear so we could be courageous in coming together and being seen so we can actually really bring in the Christos codes, which is all about reinstating the death, rebirth, and resurrection rights, right, through our own beings. That has to be replaced because that's what's being forgotten, I don't know, broken, whatever it is. And it's coming through our beings. And there's videos everywhere saying, you know what, they burnt the temples, they burnt the libraries and everything like that, but they could not break what was in our DNA. So many of us are awakening with deep memory of Atlantis, deep memory of the white lions, and we're having conversations of going, oh, wow, okay, I remember, but how do we implement this into this everyday life? And that's why we're all meeting on Marie's YouTube, because we're all figuring it out, aren't we? We're decoding it, alchemically decoding it. So that's what the white lines are all about in a very, very brief introduction to them. So we've got to hold the line as the world chaos heightens. No, nothing we haven't seen before. You know what I mean? Atlantis fell, we lived through that. I mean, like when I say we lived through that, we came back again and again and again because we're infinite, right? So we've been here, done that. Okay, yawn. What's the next thing? Do you know what I mean? So we never get sent anything we can't deal with, right? So now let's move through to the 28th, which is actually today. So it's kind of like all a bit of a melding, this 26th and 28th. So it's an activation point today, huge activation point. So we're really rife for manifestation and everything like that. Remember, it's all about courage and sovereignty and royalty vitality and power and strength. Okay. And it's like, yeah, it's the infinity symbol. It's like everything's got to be in balance. It's like upholders of Ma'at are we. So we really are for ourselves and coming back together. We're reinstating the balance. Balance is the key word, I would say, right? So now feelings of inadequacy, smallness. Now these are purging old feelings because there will always be a bit of residue, but I was really shown that we are just rinsing and clearing, rinse and repeat the human aspects that hold all of this shit, basically. Our higher beings are all good, but the reason we're really feeling like, oh God, are we here again? It's because it's the final purge and surge, because we're not just doing it for ourselves, we're doing it for humanity as well. So there may be others that are still sitting their fear codes, so they need to get into their courageous codes because they've got to come and join us. So that's kind of like why we just feel like, oh God, we're really doing this again. But it really is going to be for the last time, because we are doing it so the Christos codes can reinstall, rebalance the divine masculine and divine feminine frequencies. Basically, the twin flames are coming back to hold the line once more. So it's full circle from when Atlantis fell, golden age of Aquarius, golden age of Atlantis, full circle. Here we are. So it's basically completion. This is a number 9 year complete, right? Okay, so now sexual abuse as well. Sexual abuse is a pestilence, as Sekhmet would put it, that is the ultimate power grab. Okay, and that is why it's been rife ancient times. The best way that they were able to defile the balance is to defile the divine feminine and the divine masculine, I suppose, to a way. So this is like the sexual abuse is rife right now, and it's really, really tippy top high. But the way that you deal with very, very uncomfortable energies like this, even animal cruelty and things like that, if you step into the arena and you deal with it direct, meaning going to that animal shelter where there's been horrible abuse, you are not going to be able to handle it. You've got to work with this energy through the consciousness, right? You have to work through the consciousness, otherwise it will take you out because it's just too much pain. We're all empaths. So how do we deal with the sexual abuse? We keep doing our work, we keep coming into our divine intelligence, we keep striding forward, finding each other, and in our packs, in our tribes together, we're going to heal this by coming together. It is not a journey to be carried by one soul. Many of us have suffered sexual abuse. I know I have, and many of us have been around others that have suffered sexual abuse. And quite frankly, whether it's been experienced in this life or not, I think every single soul has basically walked that path one way or another. It's got to go, because we clear that layer of sexual abuse and that kind of level of defiling, then of course we reinstall and reinstate the absolute divine foundation, Christos codes, right? So it's all kind of making sense that this is a real means to an end, right? To start again, a beginning, right? So there's more and more men stepping into their role as well, because by allowing the divine feminine to heal and getting all that support, we then step out and we allow ourselves to be held, which means the divine masculine can step in and look after us. So, you know, it's like, it's time for them to stop getting a bad rep. Well, they're kind of like, they've got a few divine masculines in this life that are like letting the side down a little bit, but there's so many divine masculines that I know watch this channel. I know a lot of you out there are doing God's work, man. You know what I mean? And it's like, even the men that I know are getting deeply intuitive now. They're still manly men or manly men, but now they're getting a deep connection to their intuition, and it's really attractive. It's really, they're shining so bright. My husband is one of them. He is the most unemotional man, or he was. He's Zimbabwean. They don't have much emotions, and here I am, very emotional. So he married his opposite, but he is deeply intuitive, and he is more powerful than he's ever been. I'm watching him go through his businesses and things like that, and I'm seeing it in a lot of you guys that I talk to and everything like that. It's quite a transformation to be in awe of, you know, and it gives me a bit of a heart pop, because it's like I can see that we're kind of getting to that place that we've been working towards for so long. So this is my energy update. Very long, I know, but full of layers of information, and I hope it's helped you kind of like process and walk through many things, because by recording it's helped me too. And then just, well, I mean, what's not to love by talking about the Sekhmet pilgrimage? So the Sekhmet pilgrimage, this Lion's Gate is a preempt to that Sekhmet pilgrimage, by the way. Many of you will be initiated into all sorts of mysteries. That's between you and spirit. but you will be initiated over this time. And many of you will be initiated so you can come to Egypt and go and meet with Sekhmet, because you've got a lot bigger work to do beyond this timeline, right? I mean, like I said, it's not for everybody. Some people are connected to the Greek mysteries and things like that. But for my tribe here, I know that many of you have been waiting. You might not have been conscious of it, to be initiated, to then kind of get yourself prepared to go and meet Mother in Egypt with me in May. So the actual Sekhmet group is in May the 15th. 2026. And yeah, and I'm just really excited, because I'm having many conversations with, you know, with those of you that are vibing with what I'm saying, and we are going to meet in Egypt. And I'm just like, this is powerful. So squeeze the juice. Remember, I always talk about juice. Squeeze the juice out of this one and really just open up to what you have agreed to in the stars, because it doesn't matter what you do, it's there. As always, my darlings, thank you for watching. And I hope this kind of like hit the spot somewhere. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.